The Pittsburgh Steelers have just signed 17 players to reserve/future contracts. So, just because the season is over doesn't mean that the offseason hasn't started, because it has. And Omar Khan, he's already gone to work, signing 17 players to future contracts for the team. So, I'm just going to go through the 17 players, give you some background information, and so on and so forth. Some of these players were players that were already signed to the team and then maybe cut or on the practice squad, and then some of them were on different teams this season. So to start off, cornerback Luke Barku was the first person signed by the Steelers, then offensive tackle Tyler Beach, and then wide receiver Marquez Callaway, fullback Jack Calato, offensive tackle Kellen Dish, safety Jalen Elliott, Joey Fisher guard, wide receiver Des Fitzpatrick, offensive tackle Devery Hamilton, offensive tackle Anderson Hardy, wide receiver Kellen Harris, defensive lineman Jonathan Marshall, center Ryan McCullum, wide receiver Denzel Mims, running back Aaron Shampkin, defensive lineman Jacob Slade, wide receiver Deuce Watts. So, those are the 17 players the Pittsburgh Steelers have signed to future/reserve contracts. And now, let me just give you some background information on each of them, starting off at the top of the list. Starting off with Luke Barku. So Barku, he was signed to a one-year contract this offseason, and he was also added to the practice squad at the start of the regular season with the Steelers. So he was with the Steelers this past season, and now he signed a future/reserve contract for next season. Prior to signing with the Steelers, though, for last season, he played for the San Antonio Brahmas in the XFL, where he finished the season with 31 tackles, 1 interception, and had a sack. Then he was signed by the Jacksonville Jaguars when he went undrafted in the 2020 NFL Draft. He played in 3 games, starting one of them, recorded 10 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, had a pass defense. He also spent times with a lot of other teams like Arizona Cardinals, San Francisco 49ers, Kansas City Chiefs, but obviously he didn't see any action with them, and then he signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers last season to join their practice squad, but never got into NFL game action. So that's the first guy. Then offensive tackle Tyler Beach, the Pittsburgh Steelers signed him. He signed actually with the Houston Texans when he went undrafted as well in the 2023 NFL Draft. Beach, he went to the University of Wisconsin, where he played in 57 games over 5 seasons, so he has a lot of experience at the college level with the Badgers. In 2022, he played in 11 games, starting 9 of them. He made 6 starts at left guard, 3 at tight end, and an extra blocker, so he's kind of moved all the way around the offensive line and even playing some tight end. Now, moving over to wide receiver Marquez Callaway. This guy is a veteran in this league. He's been with many teams. He's mainly known for being with the Saints, though, and he's actually was a really good wide receiver, or a really decent wide receiver when he was with the Saints, making some spectacular catches, and he was usually a big play wide receiver and was known for making contested catch situations. So this is a good signing for someone for future/reserve. Some background information is he originally signed with the New Orleans Saints as an unrestricted free agent following 2020 NFL Draft. He led the team in receiving yards, 698, and receiving touchdowns with 6 in the 2021 season. He set career highs in both categories as well as receptions with 46. He played collegiately at Tennessee, where he had 67 receptions for 911 yards and 6 touchdowns. So this is a really good signing heading into next season. Now, moving over to fullback Jack Calato, who the Steelers signed. Calato was signed to the practice squad on October 9th, so he was already signed to the Steelers last season, and they're bringing him back for a future/reserve contract. Calato was originally with San Francisco 49ers when he went undrafted in 2023. Now, moving over to offensive tackle Kellen Dish. Dish was signed to the Steelers practice squad, so he was with the Steelers team week 1 of the season. And Dish was recently with the Chicago Bears as well, but then they released him when cutdowns happened. He was with Miami Dolphins, went undrafted in 2022 draft. Now, moving over to safety Jalen Elliott, which the Pittsburgh Steelers gave a future/reserve contract to. Elliott spent time on the practice squad with the Steelers in 2023. He's most known for his time with the Detroit Lions. However, when he went undrafted as a free agent in 2020, he's a really decent safety, and he appeared in 2 games with the Detroit Lions and then later signed to the 53-man roster. So Elliott was also with the New England Patriots during the training camp of 2022 and also the Raiders as well. Elliott played 51 games in the college level, and now moving over to guard Joey Fisher, who the Steelers signed. Fisher was signed to the Steelers practice squad at the start of last season, so he does have some experience being on the team last year. He appeared with the San Francisco 49ers when he went undrafted in 2023 NFL Draft. Moving over to wide receiver Dez Fitzpatrick. The Steelers actually had him last year, if you remember. He started the season on the practice squad, but was added to the 53-man roster in September 14th. He was released from the practice squad on October 4th and was drafted by the Tennessee Titans in the 4th round of 2021 NFL Draft. So he played in 4 games in 2021 when he was with the Titans, and then he played in some games for the Steelers this past season when injuries happened, like Deontay Johnson had to go on IR. So Dez Fitzpatrick, if you remember, he's one of the big names in training camp of people who stepped up and showed out big time. So he's going to be returning once again, and hopefully he can make an impact and maybe earn himself a spot on this team. But he's back. Now, offensive tackle Devery Hamilton, the Steelers signed him. He was with the Las Vegas Raiders following the 2021 NFL Draft, and he was also with the New York Giants. The Steelers have signed Anderson Hardy. Hardy originally signed with the Kansas City Chiefs as an undrafted free agent following 2023 NFL Draft, so the Steelers signed him. They've also signed wide receiver Kellen Harris. Harris was signed by the Atlanta Falcons when he went undrafted in the 2023 NFL Draft as well. Defensive lineman Jonathan Marshall. The Pittsburgh Steelers have signed him to their practice squad at the start of last season, and now he's back for a future and reserve contract. If you remember, he was one of the big names that the Steelers basically stole off the Jets practice squad, and we thought maybe he could help the Steelers run defense 2 years ago when they stole him off the practice squad and they signed him. But no, he did not appear in really any games, did not make an impact. But now he's back for a future reserve contract, and maybe he can make an impact next season and earn himself a spot. Who knows? Moving over to center Ryan McCollum. McCollum was on the practice squad in 2023, so he was with the Steelers, and McCollum was also elevated for the Baltimore Ravens game in Week 5 for the Steelers, but he did not play. So that's him. Going over to another name who is a good wide receiver who the Steelers have signed. It's Denzel Mims. Mims was actually signed on October 3rd this past season to our practice squad. He spent the time on offseason and preseason with the Detroit Lions after they acquired him via a trade with the New York Jets. Mims spent his first 3 seasons in the league with the Jets, who selected him in the 2nd round of the 2020 NFL Draft. He's played in 30 career games, starting at 15. He's also had 42 receptions for 676 yards and basically an average of 16.1 yards per reception. His most productive season in the NFL was 2020, when he had 23 for 357 and 9 games, starting 8 of them. But then he kind of fell off of the Jets, and then the Jets never really used him after that, and that's when his career started going downhill. But he's a really good wide receiver, and the Pittsburgh Steelers getting him and signed to a future reserve contract, having him go to our training camp and mini camp, whatever, having him show out and maybe earn himself a spot is a very good chance he can make the team next year. So let's see what he could do, and maybe his career could get rebooted. But who knows? Denzel Mims is a really good wide receiver, and hopefully he can help this team in the future. That's him. Now we're moving over to running back Aaron Shamklin. Shamklin most recently spent time with the Los Angeles Chargers in 2023, but he also spent part of the 2022 season with the Colts and the Cowboys. Moving over to defensive lineman Jacob Slade. Slade spent time with Arizona Cardinals practice squad after he went undrafted in the 2023 NFL Draft. And then the last guy, we're finally over. Wide receiver Deuce Watts. Deuce Watts, he spent time on the Steelers practice squad in 2023. He originally signed with the Green Bay Packers when he went undrafted in the 2023 NFL Draft. So that's it. That is all 17 guys and all 17 guys' background information. I just went through it all for you, giving you some background information on each of them. And these guys, most of them, when you look at the background information on them, you're probably hearing undrafted free agent from the draft. It means that they didn't get drafted in the draft and the Steelers have signed them to a future reserve contract. But we know how some of them work. Sometimes people go undrafted and then they turn into gems, and most of these people aren't going to be impact players for the Steelers. This wasn't a video to say, oh, the Steelers signed the best player for a future reserve contract. No, that's not what it was. It's just me giving you some updates on people who you can expect to be with the team in minicamp, training camp, and fighting for a roster spot. Most of these people will not be on the team next season at all. But some of them, you might see one or two that they make the team or they make the practice squad and they're with the team and they get elevated for a game next season. But Omar Khan, even though the season is over, the playoffs are over, the Steelers have been eliminated by the Buffalo Bills, you see it, Omar Khan is straight to work, signing 17 players to future/reserve contracts, and you could expect them in the offseason if you go to training camp or to just see reports on them for minicamp. But with that being said, let me know down in the comments below your thoughts on specific players that maybe you're excited to see that I have named that the Steelers have signed to that future contract. Do you think any of them even have a chance to make the Steelers team next season? Or are you still just focused on the Steelers' loss against the Buffalo Bills and you don't care about any of this? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel down below as well if you like Steelers content analysis reports. Like the video, turn on post notifications down below this channel as well so you can get notified whenever I post next Steelers video. Click that bell down below. I cover everything Steelers, and just like this, even though it's not important news because these players may not be an impact, I cover it all. And if you want to stay updated with everything Steelers, I do everything, cover all the breaking news. And just because the season is over doesn't mean I'm stopping, because this is the off season and I'm covering it all as well. I do film breakdowns, reaction, highlight videos, news. So turn notifications to this channel, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys all later. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.